to stop spiking our protest. Sorry, mate.
I would ask us all to just observe a minute's silence, and then after that we'll finish the minute's silence with a round of applause. So please, 1 minute. We're now going to hear from Emily Bennett, who is a Sec at the University of Manchester Student Union.
For such an important cause, and this turnout really shows that action needs to be taken now by politicians, by club owners, by bar owners. So thank you so much all for coming tonight. I'm just going to speak about a few of the things that we want to get out of this. So later tonight I'll be handing this letter to Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Manchester, and in it we say actions that we want to see in the city to make it safer for everyone. So the main one we want to see is tougher licensing for venues. So to get a license they would have to have stronger safety measures in place to prevent people getting spiked and also to support people who get spiked, because at the moment it's just not happening in the way it should be. People aren't being supported, people aren't being believed, and it needs to change. We also want to see more focus on potential perpetrators of spiking. The onus shouldn't be on the victims, and we want to see more education and more advertising focused on the perpetrators rather than the victims. And then the last thing we want to see is a review of safety in the city. When you're travelling around Manchester, you shouldn't feel scared. You should feel safer, and the lighting in some areas of the city is awful, and we want to see better lighting because even here, like, it's not great. And also transport, night buses. A lot of them have been cut in recent years. We want to see a lot more night buses, especially going back into student areas where it's young people who are away from home for the first time and who need to feel safe on the way home. Just to say also, after this, at about 8 o'clock, we'll probably be walking back to the Students' Union. So if anyone wants to come back with us and walk with us, we'll be going back there and we'll be watching a film, so that'll be quite nice. So once again, thank you all for coming, and let's hope this makes change.
Thank you, Emily. That was inspiring as always. Big up the University of Manchester Student Union. They're very, very supportive of us, and they've come out here in their numbers. If you're not a University of Manchester student and you are a student, maybe pressure your student union to back this campaign as well. Okay, so now, the exciting bit, we are going to march. Is everyone excited to march? The most exciting one is Whose Streets. So when I say Whose Streets, you have to say Whose Streets? Whose Streets? Whose Streets? Whose motherfucking streets? Right, okay, so me and a few others in our high vis, we're going to march around to the front, and I would ask that everyone follows us. We're going to walk nice and slow. We don't want to lose anyone. We're going to walk nice and slow. And if anyone has any questions or problems, there's a few of us dotted around in orange and yellow high-vis vests. Ask us, okay? There's also legal observers who are wearing orange vests that say legal observer on the back. So if you have any questions about the law or the police, go to them, alright? We need to keep safe in this protest, so I very much ask, A, that you don't talk to the police about what we're doing, B, that you don't tell the police your name, C, that you don't tell the police your friend's name, and what are we on? Are we on D? D, that you don't tell the police my name if you know it. Alright, so we're going to march, stay safe, don't march alone, and remember those chants, remember that anger, and remember why you're angry and who you're angry at. Now give me 2 minutes to get around the corner so I can lead the march, and then we'll go. Is everyone happy? Yeah. Is everyone happy? Yeah. Now, come on. Whose streets? Whose streets? Whose streets? There we go, let's go. Wait there, I'm going to go around the front, then we go, right?
Yeah, smash the like button, share it out if you can.
No peace! No justice! 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 No peace!
Jake, it's against the spiking at clubs. We're also live on YouTube at the minute. If you're watching on Facebook and prefer YouTube live streams, we're live over there too. Links in the bio. Oh shit, he's walked into a pole. Oh, the amount.
Split chance, that just says it.
I'd say it's in the thousands, not the 2,000. So for the lag, I'm trying to get back to the front now, so I should get connection at the front. The process has stopped down there. I'll try and zoom in on it for you. But I think I might have gone the wrong way. Yeah, I think I've gone the wrong way. Fuck's sake.
I think so. It looked like...
Yep. Catching up with the protest now. part of the protest was going a different way from what it went. I'm a bit lost now. Is that it down there? Excuse me, did a protest just go down this way? Yeah. Cheers. There, I found it.
Even if it has absolutely no intention whatsoever, someone is being drugged without their consent. It all comes down to consent. The same way that you consent to sexual activity or even a hug, you have the right to consent to the substances that you ingest. On a night out, if I was to go on one when I'm not terrified, my bag would not only have to include the essentials such as lip gloss, tampons, wallet, phone, but now also a personal safety alarm, aka a rape alarm, plasters in case I get injected with substances because the police's and NHS advice is to wash and put a plaster over it, emergency money in case my phone dies for a taxi because the buses don't run, comprehensive plans on what to do if I get separated from my group or spiked, phone chargers and phone data. The rhetoric when it comes to spiking or most gendered issues is victim blaming. Let's blame women, and we all know how easy it is to do that. Don't leave your drink unattended, don't accept a drink from anyone, watch your drink, tell someone if you think that you've been spiked. The responsibility is placed on women. I am so fed up of people telling us what to do when all we want is a fun night out. It's not just peers, the public, authorities and the media, but also, and somewhat surprisingly, academics. I was trying to find some statistical data and every single article and book that I read was orientated towards victim blaming. In one book, one of the key words was watch your drink. Watch your drink. How about don't put drugs in other people's drinks? Victim blaming is so deeply ingrained in society, it's even in the academic work on the issue. One common piece of advice when it comes to spiking is tell the management, bar staff or police. But there have been numerous reports and testimonies of bar staff being the ones who've spiked people and countless of times when the police have been completely useless. Trust in police is pretty much non-existent and the advice is to trust a police member. GMP's statement on the 8th of October said,
As well as increased patrols to target offenders, GMP will be providing advice through its social media channels this weekend on how people can better protect themselves from having their drink spiked and enjoy a safe night out. Not only is this don't get spiked rather than don't spike, but I also looked at their Twitter and have found none of this so-called advice. It's also important to touch on the fact that it's not just strangers in a bar who spike us, but also mutual friends and our peers. 20% of cases have happened at home, according to I've Been Spiked. Helena Conibert, the CEO of Alcohol Education Trust, says that everyone presumes it takes place in bars and clubs, but half happen in the private parties and unregulated spaces because there's less likelihood to have CCTV. Everyone presumes stranger danger, but actually it could be a wider friendship group. Today's boycott is powerful, a national boycott to demand action to end spiking now, but we must ensure it's not just one night. Venues also closing today to say that they support the matter is performative until they implement safety and support strategies, make them public and make them accessible. Today itself is not enough. Drink covers and straws, nightcaps, it's not enough. It's a gesture to act like the authorities care about us and our safety. But will it help tackle the problem in the long run? No. Why, with every other rise in crime, is it taken seriously except for gendered ones? Where is government action enforcing measures on clubs and bars and pubs? How has it got to this point? It's not just drinks, but also needles. We shouldn't have to be here demanding and protesting to feel safe. We shouldn't have to boycott. We shouldn't have to protest. How is the nighttime economy still continuing, let alone thriving, despite the epidemic of spiking? Sacha Lord must step up as nighttime economy advisor, and Andy Burnham must ensure that the nighttime economy is implementing safety measures for their customers. And this is not just more security, because one, that's not addressing the issue, but two, it's dangerous for people of colour, and three, as mentioned before, they are part of the problem. If we actually look at the root of the problem, spiking comes from the rape culture that we have to live in and the patriarchy. Rape culture is made up of 4 key aspects: victimization, degradation, removal of autonomy, and explicit violence. You can see this visually on Resist Rape Culture's Instagram. Spiking would come into removal of autonomy and explicit violence. It's so ingrained in society that we must start young. We must change the education, conversation, and legislation to be survivor and victim orientated. Resist Rape Culture's demands include compulsory consent classes, active bystander intervention training, and better support for survivors. These are all hand in hand and support the End Spiking Now demands. Clubs and bars with repeated spiking cases to lose their licenses, better support, safe journeys home, and medical staff, just to name a few. Whilst these demands are aimed at venues, it's also important to note that we do need a systemic overhaul, but individuals still have free will and autonomy. People have a choice whether or not to spike someone else. They actively decide to do so. So there must be repercussions and there must be better education earlier on. As I said, it's so great to see so many people here showing up for our safety, but again, we shouldn't have to be here. We shouldn't have to demand a basic human right of safety. It's the absolute bare minimum. We just want to be safe. So today is not the end. We must continue, as depressing as it is, we must continue to demand our safety, lobby venues, authorities and politicians to end spiking now. Okay, so next we're going to hear from someone who is a bit of a legend. This is Jade Doswell, who's the superstar Labour councillor for Fallowfield. She's an absolute legend. She's fighting every day for us, and I think she's going to tell us a little bit more about it.
Can you all hear me? Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming today. It's actually quite emotional to see so many of you here. And as Lucy said, I'm a Labour councillor for Fallowfield, where I'm sure many of you study, work, live. So it's an issue that's really, really important to me as a councillor and as a woman. So thanks to everyone for coming tonight. To be honest, we shouldn't be here. I'd much rather we were all at home studying, going to work, doing what we do on a Wednesday evening, because we should not be marching for our safety to have a safe night out. It is not acceptable. We've been marching, we've been reclaiming the night in Fallowfield since 1977, and we're still doing this, we're still here, we've made no progress. So as a Manchester City councillor, I'm going to talk a little bit about the stuff that I've been doing with other female councillors just to address this issue. A lot of the stuff's been mentioned by the other speakers, you know, in terms of tackling the licensing of these clubs and cracking down on them when they allow this to happen, making sure that security isn't increased but they're better trained so they understand that this is a gendered problem. So there's lots that we're working on. We're working on a street safety strategy across the whole city with other female councillors, and we're meeting with representatives from the student union next week to discuss what you guys want. We also want to meet with workers as well, because it isn't just a student issue, it's a woman issue, as you know. So we want to meet with people that feel that they can't safely get home at night after working or whatever. But the point is that we should not feel scared to live our daily lives, and we do. And actually, I want to talk a little bit about men as well, because it's great to see some of you here today, but it isn't a gendered issue. It isn't a woman's issue, it's a gendered issue. It isn't our issue, it's men's issue to stop doing what they do and to educate each other as well. So every man here, it's brilliant that you're here and it's great to see you, but you need to educate your friends, you need to educate your brothers, you need to educate your course colleagues, because we can't keep doing this. And I want you all to know that no matter what you guys do, no matter what happens from tonight, Manchester City councillors, Fallowfield councillors have got your back on this and will be there to support you all the way. And as the last speaker said, this isn't the end, this is just the beginning, and we will keep up the fight. Thanks everyone, thanks for coming.
Wasn't that amazing? Aren't we glad to have people like that looking out for us in council? Okay, our next speaker is another wonder. This is Chloe from Manchester Labour Students. There you go.
Hi everyone. I don't really have too much to say that hasn't already been said by some of the amazing speakers we've already had, but just to reiterate, everyone has the right to be safe on the night out, independent of your gender identity or anything like that. The increasing reporting of spiking is something that we need protection against badly. And we all deserve to have a night of fun without being terrified of potential consequences. Spiking is never the fault of the victim. No matter how drunk you are, or what you're wearing, or anything like that, it's not your fault. The fault is always on those that choose to spike. As a young woman, I deserve to feel safe on a night out, and I shouldn't have to stay at home because some people can't help themselves being horrible. Recently, a lot of movements have been going around suggesting more searches, more bouncers, more police powers in nightclubs, and this is not the way forward. This would disproportionately have a negative impact on minorities, especially people of colour. More police power will not keep us safe. This has been proved time and time again by the negative treatment that so many have suffered. We have to ensure that this movement has space for everyone and isn't just centering us white women that don't face the worst of it, but minorities that are constantly compulsory searches have the potential to place people at risk, and they won't stop drugs, they won't stop needles, it won't work. We need more practical solutions. We need more medical staff. We need support systems to get people to time from spiking. All of Resist Rape Culture's demands, I firmly support them. We need practical solutions. This Tory government will never stand up for women and minorities. first. They're not taking into account all of this, all of that we're going through right now. They don't care. MPs need to be taking more action. And Labour needs to be backing these demands around smoking. Well, what kind of opposition are we? And something I just also want to quickly add, which I think is an important part of this conversation, is the misogyny and discrimination that prevails in so many political groups. And all political groups need to be making sure they keep people safe and they don't foster environments that let people be mistreated. As the co-chair of Manchester Labour Students, I'm striving to maintain a space that everyone feels safe and comfortable in, where young women feel comfortable social without being afraid, where all genders, all races and all sexualities aren't on edge. All those need to be doing the same thing. And I'm proud to be part of a group of people standing up for the safety of young women, young non-binary people, young gay people, and especially if you're a cultural group that has a history of making women unsafe, you need to acknowledge flaws in this political movement and do better. Give Comrade Delta a Google if you don't know what I mean. Aware that leftist men also have the potential to exploit us.
Next we're going to hear from another local legend. If you guys remember a few weeks ago when the Tories came to Manchester for their conference, as part of the People's Assembly, was instrumental in organising the fight back against the Tories and all they stand for. So next we're going to hear from the local legend that is Karen from the People's Assembly.
Numerous times. men or groups of men can feel unsafe, even if they're not, they can feel unsafe. Around 2 women per week are killed by their partner or ex-partner in England and Wales. That's shocking, and that needs to stop. And so it goes on, with these spiking issues become the latest thing to fear. Why should my daughter, my nieces and other women now have to fear going out for a drink to just have a fun night out? I know there's lots of decent men out there, which I've just said, so I'm repeating myself there. So we need a national and local conversation at the highest level on what we can do to stop spiking and to make the world safer and better for women. Girls Night In, Manchester, have written a brilliant open letter to Andy Burnham with lots of practical suggestions on how the spiking issue can be tackled. So if you've not seen it, see their Instagram page and please sign the letter. Maybe someone will read from that, but I don't think you will now. Someone did mention it in the beginning, I think, from Students' Union, so it really is an important letter that people look at. So owners and staff of pubs and clubs, as well as police officers, need training to gain a much better understanding about spiking and how to appropriately deal with it. So we need, it's essentially staff in pubs and nightclubs don't continue to assume a woman is drunk and then throw her out. So actually, when has it ever been safe to just throw a drunk woman out of the nightclub on her own? Recently, I read about the warehouse project in Manchester today, and I think there might actually be someone from there. I saw someone earlier. And I've read that they've got a welfare tent that can support women who've been spiked, and staff are trained to support this and other issues. We need this in every nightclub. So, there's much that needs to be done more than this as well, and it's essential that women are not silenced on this, and that we demand serious action is taken to deal with the disgraceful and disgusting practice of spiking.
So if you don't believe that anti-racism should be something we fight for, we die for, and we strive for, then you're not really welcome on this protest. So
because actually, when a woman is attacked, what do we get told? Stay indoors, stay safe, lock yourself into ways, censor yourself. We can't do that. It's absolutely important that as women we are allowed to come out onto the streets and feel safe. And I want to say this as a black woman, it's even more important that people understand that when we get attacked, no one says our names. Ringing the police multiple times, reporting them as missing. The police didn't bother to go out and check. The families asked them to go and visit them in the flat where they live, and the police just shrugged off. What did they say? Oh, they probably got a hangover. One of the sisters was a 47-year-old professional woman, and they said she's 46 years old. She's never gone missing, and they said, oh, but you know what? There's a Black Lives Matter damage over there, but you're probably out drinking. They were probably sobering up somewhere. That's how much they didn't take it seriously. Her partner had to go looking for his girlfriend. They found the bodies of the two sisters in a park. The police hadn't even gone around looking for them. It was a family that had to find them. That is the kind of thing that we as black people have to deal with. And I want to say this, as an anti-racist campaigner, one thing we recognise, yes, we fight against individual racism, thugs on the street, but also we recognise that this is systemic in our society. We live in a racist society. And I say this, now we all know also that we live in a sexist society. But actually, we live in a society that doesn't take women's safety seriously. Think about the campaign we had over the summer right that came to the new policing bill. That bill will allow you, if you're out and you're damaged, then you attack a statue of Churchill, you're to be prosecuted for that than if he attacked a woman. That's how much the police take it seriously. That's how much they value the lives of women. During this lockdown, we have seen a massive impact on black people in particular. They have lost their lives unproportionately. That is because of institutional racism. But it's also this, it's worth saying, during this pandemic, we must never forget the women that have been victims of domestic abuse, the women that have been unsafe at home.
Certainly do not serve us, but it's so people of colour, we do not stand with gay people or trans people, and we do not care that the police are institutionally racist. We do not care that the police are institutionally sexist. This is why any movement that argues for equality, any movement that argues for liberation for anyone, must be unfaltering in its anti-racist beliefs. It must serve the racism, transphobia, homophobia and sexism are simply not welcome in our movements. And we saw that during the Black Lives Matter protest, and we saw that during the Kill the Bill protest. We saw that when we stood together and we demanded things, the government simply was forced to listen, and look what it's done. That is why, if we do one thing, it's that we have to continue to stand. We have to continue to come together and take to the streets, take to the vote, and the GMP. This exactly right here is how we demand liberation, and it's how we demand safety. This is how we demand safety in a night out. And this is how we will eventually, put an end to fighting. Because comrades, we really do have a world to win, okay? See them waving? So if you want to go over there, it might be a bit too much, please go. Equally, if you have any stories that you want to share with everyone, please come forward. I think this is going to be an incredibly powerful moment. So if you want to come forward, you want to share your story, don't put any pressure to share or to not share, just come forward. Maybe come and speak to me or on the ginger or some of this. I think first we're going to hear from Ray. Right? Big round of applause.
Fucking turnout right now, oh my god. Not only am I proud of everyone who has shared posts, everyone who has spoken to people about today, everyone who has spoken to me about the boycott, but I am very proud of everyone who can make it today, and everyone who came to show support, and everyone who was running up to share a testimony. I'm very proud of you guys too, so we will always give a massive round of applause to everyone. It's not good, and I didn't deserve it, because no one, no matter your gender, no matter your sexuality, no matter your race, no matter anything, you do not deserve to be spiked. You have the right to put whatever substance you want in your body. No one can take that right away from you. It is a human right, a basic human right. You decide what is in your body, not someone at the club, not someone at home, not someone at a bar. You. I'd just like to comment, because it's not been brought up that much so far, the medical aspect of being spiked. I know a lot of clubs, and to get licenses and bars to get licenses, they need a first aider on hand. Now, as someone who has worked in the industry for years now, that is not always the case. I am only 19, and I have been the first aider in most of my jobs. And before I started working there, they just didn't have one. And when someone comes to the bar and goes, hey, my friend's been spiked, if there is no first aider, if there is no safeguard trained person, if there is no person on site that has been trained to deal with someone who is in a medical crisis, then you and your friends who go to this bar are unsafe. You as a bartender who could be having a drink after work are unsafe. You as the bartender yourself could be working with people, putting people at risk who are in your bar or in your club. It is unfair, and it needs to be changed, which is one of the demands that we've got as in the End Spiking Now movement. One of the demands is having a safeguard trained or a trained person on every site, every shift, to deal with someone if they have been spiked. I'm not sure how many people here have experienced spiking, but if you have gone to a medical professional, let's say A&E, like I have, I got turned away 3 weeks ago from A&E and told to go home and hydrate when I walked into A&E more than 10 hours, 12 hours after I'd been spiked and I was still high from whatever substance they had spiked me with. I went into A&E and they didn't even admit me. They didn't even admit me for observation when there was a random drug coursing through my body where I could barely mumble words together and hardly walk. That is not okay. I completely love the NHS and I'm all for it, but the NHS need to put something in place to help people who have been spiked. Because right now, the climate that we're in, this has been an issue for years, but the amount of support this issue is having when it comes to solidarity with everyone together, which is evident from the crowd here. But the amount of support that you guys are giving, it's evident that something needs to change. Something's got to give. Something like more medical professionals, more people to educate people from young ages in schools not to spike. Because kids are growing up and they're just, it's not the fact that they think it's okay. I don't know what's going through someone's brain when they spike someone. But it needs to be told from a very young age, look, you can go to a club, you can have a fun night with your mates, but don't fucking spike them. It shouldn't be hard. Don't spike people. It's not that difficult. If you want to have a good time, but don't do it at risk of someone else's good time. Don't do it at risk of someone else's health. Have a good time, but do not ruin other people's good time. No matter what gender you are, you can spike someone. No matter what sexuality you are, you can spike someone. Gay village, people get spiked there. Straight clubs, people get spiked there. And it has to fucking stop. I have had enough. You guys have had enough. We've all had enough.
Wow, it's such a massive crowd today. Like, I've been to quite a number of things, like, with a similar scope, and this is probably the biggest I've seen all year. At the end of March, I attended one, and, well, I was arrested, and it was quite a violent arrest, and I was exposed quite publicly, and it ended up on newspapers, and it was a very stressful experience. And the police were arguing over whether I should be covered up, and that was in response to similar issues to this. But just this weekend, I was out in the village, and it ended up leading to me having to carry somebody out after I drunk alcohol because of the bystander effect. And with the bystander effect, that means that so often that people just ignore people and think, oh, she's just drunk. And it turned out that the person who was passed out had had a concoction of things. And, like, if you leave somebody like that, what risk are they at in a dimly lit area? In just the same area, a number of men approached quite a group of girls who'd left the club. And it's quite a common thing that men will rent out cars and they'll say, oh, well, look, I've got this fancy car, do you want to come with me? And a lot of the time, women will often be in some state where they'll be prompted and taken into those vehicles where they will be assaulted by those men. In the village, there's a service known as the Village Angels. However, in other areas, such as Preston, there was a service known as, I think it was Preston Night Safe, which worked alongside the ambulance. It was a very similar service. However, a number of councils cut those services, which means that they can no longer be accessed and that people are at risk. I was personally involved in one of those, and I was an observer myself. However, I'd often take it upon myself to get involved, and I was encouraged to do that. And for example, at one point it was in a takeaway, and there was a woman passed out on the floor, and the staff in the takeaway was stepping over her. And there was an argument going on between a number of people over whether somebody else had been spiked. And that was a disgusting point. And that was one of the first times I've ever seen somebody experiencing spiking. And people were arguing over whether this woman, who was lay on the floor, being ignored because of the bystander effect, had been spiked or not, when she was displaying clear symptoms of being spiked, and her friends had just walked off and abandoned her. It's a common experience, and it's so often that people have just been left and ignored because their friends cannot be bothered dealing with people who've been attacked because they think, oh, well, they've just got a bit too drunk. No, they have been assaulted, they have had something spiked into their drink, or they've been jabbed by a needle. It needs to end. We need change. We need these services to keep going.
Just a reminder, if you do want to speak, maybe tap me on the shoulder while someone else is speaking. I'll keep them. I don't know. Okay, please.
When I was in my first year of uni, my mental health suffered a massive break. I was completely antisocial. I barely attended any classes and I never spoke to my flatmates. I confided in a friend of mine about how alone I felt, and he took a train from Plymouth to come see me, unannounced and unasked for at my uni accommodation. He then raped me. I was raped without even leaving my house. When I see thousands and thousands of women report being spiked, it makes me incredibly afraid, but also incredibly fucking angry. The advice has never changed. Keep an eye on your drink. Never accept a drink from a stranger. Leave your drink with a friend. The only thing that has changed is the method of spiking and how many women are being spiked. This advice is by no means bad advice. Just as walk with a friend at night or carry your keys in your hand are not bad pieces of advice, but they have one thing in common. Women are 100% responsible for their own safety. If a woman walks alone at night, she is putting herself in danger. If a woman does not keep her house keys propped as a weapon, she is putting herself in danger. If a woman dares to place her drink down for a moment, she is putting herself in danger. We are expected to be on guard at all times, even in times when we should be allowed to relax, because if we do not, we are asking for it. Because if we get too drunk, we are asking for it. If we are too irresponsible or too tired, we are asking for it. I went to a club a year after I was raped with another male friend of mine. He went to get me a drink and a man came over to speak with me. I was on my phone, ignoring every pickup line, every sexualized remark and touch he threw my way. I shook my head, smiling, because you have to smile, because if you don't smile, you're a bitch. But he wouldn't give up. Not until my friend returned from the bar with my drink and his tone changed dramatically, raising his hands and apologizing to my friend. He didn't apologize to me, he apologized to my friend for moving in on his property. We are not as safe as we are careful or on guard or in groups. We are only as safe as the men around us allow us to be. And I think back to the night where a friend I trusted to look after me attacked me, and I wonder if I would have trusted him with my drink. Was it my responsibility to know not to let him into my house? Would it be my responsibility to not give him my drink to look after? No, it was his responsibility to not fucking rape me! When I was in a crisis and needed someone to keep me safe, he raped me. And for every time we spout advice to women on how not to get spiked, we let some slimy scumbag slip through the cracks of culpability. The police don't protect us. Bouncers don't protect us, and the men around us sure as fuck don't protect us! Be better! Because no, it's not all men, but it's way too fucking many of them!
Right, good evening everyone. I'm going to stand out a bit because I am a man, but I would like to first of all show support to every brave woman out there who is voicing their discontent with what is going on. I have heard that one of the previous speakers said that this spiking issue is fairly new. Let me break it to you. It's not a secret. It has been going on for way too long. I personally know someone who was a male who was spiked whilst on holiday in Crete. He almost never woke up and he was airlifted to hospital. And I don't understand why this is going on again today in modern Britain. When will people start acting? I cannot believe it that bouncers, some of them do not check anything when you go in. They only check for your ID. They don't check your pockets. When will they react? When will pub owners instruct the bouncers to react? Will we have to wait for someone to die? This is ridiculous. And our government, this is not specific to Manchester. This is not specific to just England. This is all over Europe, all over the world. It's a new kind of pandemic. But this time, it's not a virus, it's idiots putting shit in girls' drinks, in everyone's. But no one gives a shit. When will it change? When will Boris Johnson speak up? He has a daughter who is going to university. Like hundreds of people who are going to university are women. I can bet one of her friends has been spiked already. And this should not happen. Will he react the day that his daughter goes to ICU? When will the Tories speak up? I dream of a day where all of us can go out and no one will suffer from the consequences of idiots who put shit in our drinks. But until our governments, our MPs, the people we vote for, who are supposed to be our representatives, until our police start giving a shit every time we go out, we risk dying. And that is not normal. No one is safe. We need to change, and we need to be more than hundreds of people. We need to spread the word. People need to go to the streets. We need our government to react before it's too late. Because women are being killed in the streets, and I do not want to add to that list women dying because they're having a drink on a weekend, because that should be a right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
I really wasn't planning on giving a speech tonight, but I really want to share my story and share stories of my friends. So, as a woman of colour, I can say that me and all of my friends who are women and non-binary have either been harassed or assaulted. I don't know anyone who hasn't, really. And I'd like to say that this Friday is 2 years since a guy yelled at me and sprained my wrist because I wouldn't sleep with him at a party. And a few weeks after that, I actually went to a guy's house who I trusted. We were close for a while, we dated for a while, and he spiked me and raped me in his very own house. And it doesn't just happen at clubs, it doesn't just happen at bars, it happens at fucking house parties. And fuck anyone who's ever raped anyone, ever assaulted anyone, ever spiked anyone, ever harmed anyone, really. Fuck them. And I just want to say, if you have ever been harassed, assaulted or raped, I'm very, very sorry, and I'm down with you. And I hope it never happens to the rest of you, I hope it never happens again. But as a bisexual woman of colour, I know the government do not give a shit about me. So my final sentiment to this very short speech is fuck the Tories.
Hey, I don't really know what I'm gonna say, but I just know I'm fucking angry, and I know you're all fucking angry too. And I know a lot of the men who are here have left because they don't want to admit that they are complicit in all of this. So, I'd like
you are not afraid to admit that you're part of the problem, whether you're, I doubt any of you are spiking girls, but you know, I'm sure there's times where your mates have been fucking disgusting and you've just stood there and watched, and I'm glad you're here to learn and to grow. But what I wanted to say is, I was assaulted in the street outside my house the day of the Euros final because men can't deal with England losing apparently. Really embarrassing on their part, embarrassing behaviour if you ask me. But yeah, I got assaulted. I got punched right in the face. I had a concussion. I was in A&E for 16 hours waiting to be seen with a potential head injury. They wouldn't let me leave because they said, oh, well, we think your brain might be bleeding. When it took them fucking 16 hours to even give me a scan. 16 hours. No food, you weren't allowed anyone in there. You know, as an autistic person, wearing a mask for 16 hours is very overwhelming. And at what point do they take you into account? It's embarrassing for all of the fucking, you know, and they're trying their best, that's the thing. But they don't have the support they need to give us what we need. And it's fucking, like I said, it's fucking embarrassing. And there were police on the road when I got assaulted, and I went up to them and I said, the man was still in view. He walked up to me, punched me in the face, and walked away. He thought I was so weak and vulnerable that he didn't even have to run away. He walked away at a leisurely pace, and I watched him. And as soon as I shouted at him, well, what the fuck have you just done? He starts running. As soon as he sees the police cars on the road, he starts running. Why is that? Are you not like, no way you've just come and assaulted me and you walk away because you think I'm going to do nothing about it. And you know what? He fucking got away. He got nothing against him there. I went up to the police and I said, that man was just punching me in the face. And he was in view. And they were sat in their car, there was two of them, and they say, we're busy. We're busy. And that's all I got from them. I filed a police report, I got a text the same day saying, we're not going to investigate this. In A&E, I got support for being assaulted. They told me to go back to the scene of the crime. It's outside my house, I have no choice. I can't gradually get back into it. I live there, I have to walk past there every single day. I was walking to the bus, 5 minutes to the bus. And unfortunately, that's not the only story I've got. I know this isn't about spiking, but it's also still so relevant to what we all experience, and I'm sure a lot of you have very similar stories as I do. And the fact that the NHS don't have the resources to even do anything and listen to us when we've been put in danger. And imagine how worse it could have been. It's been so much worse for so many people. I'm lucky that's all I got. All I got was a concussion, that's it. And you know what? I'm lucky, and I'm happy that's all that happened. When I was 16, I was raped by my friend, and it took me a long time to even process the fact that I was raped. It takes you weeks to even understand that it was wrong, because you're so conditioned to believe that it's your fault, and you were in his house, so he deserved to do that. You kissed him, so he deserved to take it further. That's not true. And when you're 16, you don't know what's true and what's not true. You think that's normal. You're being introduced to sex at that age, and if that's like one of the first experiences you have, that's what you think is normal. It took me months to even realise, because I was saying to my friends, I feel so weird, like why do I feel so weird about this? And they were like, do you realise you were raped? And I was like, no, like I don't think that's it. But it was. And the fact that you can't even like experience that and straight away think that because you've been so conditioned to believe that it's your fault. And even telling people, they say, well, did you say the word no? The word no. There's so many examples. Even when you do say no, do they stop? No. If they want what they want, they're gonna fucking go and get it because they don't give a shit about how you feel. And do you know what's the worst part? He made me feel so bad that he didn't have any money for food. I did his food shop for him and I paid for it after he raped me. Because I was so convinced that this man hadn't done anything wrong to me. And you know what? He goes to fucking Oxford. He walks free, he walks on the streets, he probably never even thinks about me. and I have to think about him every day of my life. That's 4 years ago now. 4 years ago, and I still have to think about it every day of my life. And I can't, it took me a long time to even be able to hug my own dad. My dad's never done anything wrong to me, but I do not feel safe around people. And even 4 years on, it's not any fucking easier, and I have to live with that every single day of my life, and I know a lot of you do too. So I'm so proud of you all for being here, because even coming to these things is scary, and often I don't come because I'm scared of going home, or I'm scared. Even I was thinking, oh, what if I go to this protest and someone spikes me? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's meant to be a safe space, but people are everywhere being cunts and just like ruining people's lives, you know? So I know I've been rambling, but thank you so much for listening to me. Stay safe. I'm proud of you. We're gonna fucking do this.
Hi, so I've been in Manchester for about 5 years, and in that time I've been around way too many instances of spiking, but I've been lucky enough that I've never been spiked myself. However, the story that I'm going to share today is my own experience and one of sexual assault, which these things are caused, they all have the same root causes of misogyny that is deeply deep within our society. So a few months ago, like many of us here, I'm sure, I decided to go on a night out for the first time since the start of the pandemic, and fueled with the unfaltering confidence of someone that spent a good length of their life as a man. I decided, very drunk, to walk home. I got one block, a single city block, and then I was assaulted. I was accosted, stripped of my safety, my dignity, by a random stranger. The aftermath of that event has left me deeply traumatized and likely affected for life by the impact it's had on my ongoing surgery recovery. In the aftermath, who was I supposed to turn to? The police? The police who, at the start of this year, brutalized me, dragging me through the streets by my ankles and my wrists. That's what they're called. This thing's hard. They brutalized me by dragging me through the streets by my ankles and wrists. The same police that sexually assaulted my friend, leaving her stripped in those very same streets. The same police who, in the aftermath of Sarah Everard's murder, assaulted a vigil and then decided to gaslight the nation, saying that the member of their very own forces who committed that disgusting, vile act, no, that was just an imposter. You know, we have to make sure that you can be safe. We have to make sure, you know, it's a real police officer.
Okay, we're going to end the live stream there. There's still lots of people here, but I've got to get going now, so I'm going to end the live stream there. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Hi Local, check out Local's page as well, check out Another Alternative. Both of them helped me with shout outs in the past, so make sure you give them a follow. But yeah, this protest should be wrapping up soon, but we've got to get off now. I thought it'd be finishing earlier, but yeah, thanks for watching.
The ironic thing is, after all these
Wait.